Hi everyone, and welcome to our afternoon, there's Kat, welcome to our afternoon restorative session. I'm just going to give you all a moment to go and get anything that you might need for the session. So bolster, blankets, cushions, eye bag. When I'm not at home, I find I use the seat of a sofa or the seat cushion of a sofa or chair can be very helpful to give you a cushion with a bit of extra height. So when you've got everything, come back and put yourself in a comfortable seated position, and we'll just sit quietly for a moment as we wait for everyone to gather their things, and make sure that you're sitting high enough that you can naturally lift and open the heart and the spine. And so you either have blankets or a cushion underneath your sitting bones. You can roll to the top of your sitting bones so that your heart naturally lifts and opens, shoulders naturally relax, chin is softly down, and just close your eyes, sitting quietly as we wait for everyone to get their things and come together. So as we wait, just allowing time to be, allowing breath to be, just settling into the space. This is the time to make sure that you're comfortable, that you have got a nice lift through the heart, through the sitting bones, that the spine is lengthened and the back of the neck nice and long. So now we should all be together, and again just taking time to make sure that your foundation is solid. The first part of any sitting practice is kaya sthira, steady body. So again, making sure that you can be on the top of your sitting bones, your sternum can lift, the heart naturally opens, the shoulders naturally slide away from the neck, the chin is slightly down and the back of the neck is long. Eyes are closed, and you're just allowing yourself to watch the breath. Elbows drop naturally into the sides of the waist, and the palms can either be up or down on the lap or on the knees as you are comfortable. When the palms are facing up and the index finger and thumb are lightly touching, it is called chin mudra, where you're receiving guidance. When the palms are down, it's called Jnana Mudra, where you're making contact with your inner knowing, your inner knowledge. Today I recommend palms up, also to roll the biceps out and open up the heart and the chest. As you take time to settle in, bringing your awareness away from the external environment into this room, into this space, onto this mat, into this body, and connecting to this breath. Feeling the breath expand and fill every single cell in your body, in the base of the belly, the full belly, the sacrum, the kidneys, the waist, the ribs, the armpits, sternum, chest, collarbones. Notice the spine lengthen, the chin slightly go up, so bring it down. And keeping that chest expanded, let the breath empty out without letting anything collapse. Breathing in, belly, kidneys, ribs, heart full, feeling the spine lengthen, pressing down into the sitting bones, creating length through spine, feeling the breath fill every single cell, and keeping chest open and lifted, keeping spine long. Let the breath out, just simply bringing the navel back into the spine. Today we're going to do a short mantra practice and a short pranayama practice to bring us nice and deeply into the moment and connect us to our belly breath. So as you breathe now, nice, even, relaxed breaths, just filling the body and emptying out. On the inhale, I want you to mentally repeat the word slow. And on the exhale, mentally repeat the word deep. Breathing in, slow. Exhale, deep. Slow. Deep. Then letting the mantra drop. And just feeling your whole body as it settles. The nervous system becomes quieter. The eyes become still. Tension melting away from body, mind becoming heavier, softer. And just enjoying being in this space. Feeling comfortable and connected with our breath. Our short pranayama is simply going to be, you're going to count your inhale. And whatever count your inhale is, you're going to exhale for twice as long. So if you naturally inhale for 5, you're going to exhale for 10. If you inhale for 6, you'll exhale for 12, and so on. I'll count the first one, and then you'll do 2 in your own time, your own breath. Completing an exhale, then beginning to inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause briefly and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pause and begin your inhale again. Slowly inhaling to the top of your breath, counting how long it is. Pause and slowly exhaling, releasing the breath. And continuing 2 more in your own time. After completing the second breath, just allowing your breath to return to a soft, natural breath, and just enjoying the after effect of the pranayama. When we relax, we want to use the belly breath. The belly breath is the part of the breath that is calming, grounding, nourishing, and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. To be able to get a proper inhale into the belly breath, it is imperative that we exhale completely. And that's why we exhale for twice as long, so that when we inhale, the breath is drawn deep into the belly. Just allowing yourself to feel that for another breath or so. And when you're ready, just allowing your awareness to come back. Taking a deeper breath into the body, whole body breathing in. And on the exhale, a gentle sigh and smile. You might feel like stretching the arms out, interlocking the hands and stretching up. Just really allowing yourself to feel how good it feels to stretch and then release the body. Now, our first posture today is going to be Supta Baddha Konasana. Kath's going to put herself into the position, and you're going to lay back onto a bolster or give yourself some height somehow. So, Kath has a bolster for underneath her chest, and there's three main aspects of being comfortable in this pose. The first one is making sure that there is enough support under the knees so that you can take any pain out of the groin region, the groin and hip region. So getting a blanket and rolling it up into a spiral. If you have got slightly tighter hips, you might want to take 2 blankets and make it thicker, or whatever you're using at home, a folded cushion or several cushions, making sure that both sides are even and that you have enough height under your knees that there is no pain or discomfort in the groin and hip area. The second part of the alignment is the chest region. So we really want the chest lifted up from the bottom of the ribs upwards. We want lifted away from the floor. So you can see the Kath has a bolster. Don't worry if it's not long enough to go underneath your sacrum or kidneys. It's the upper chest that we really want lifted and supported. And the third point is the head. We want the head supported as well. So you can see that Kath's head is quite neutral, but if her chin was to tilt up, she would put a folded blanket or cushion underneath her head. We really want that chin to be softly in and the neck to be neutral. When you have your arms out to the sides, palms facing up, if for any reason the hands don't rest on the floor, again, just have a towel or a blanket, something that can rest the wrists on if you need it. Comfort is really important as we set up for these poses because we're going to spend a little bit longer in them. So making sure that you're very comfortable, checking you've got height under the knees, lifting the chest, and I'll tell you why that's so important once you're in the pose, and making sure that the head is very comfortable as well. Once you are comfortable in the pose, allow yourself to fully relax. Allow yourself to simply be. A restorative practice is all about replenishing and refilling you. You don't expend energy. You take a bit of time to set yourself up and you support your body with the props. But once you've done that, you let go completely and allow the pose to work on you. The breath is just natural, flowing into the belly, up into the chest, and exhale, flowing out through legs, through arms, through spine. With every inhale, you're feeling that space. With every exhale, you're feeling that release, that letting go of any tension, any holding, anything that you don't need, don't want in your practice or your life, letting it go, sinking ever more deeply into this moment. The position of the legs in this pose is very important. The soles of the feet together and the knees wide creates an activation of the meridian of the liver, reproductive system and urinary tract system. It's particularly the liver we're interested in when we're overtired, run down, stressed or sick. This is the organ that has to deal with coping with all that extra load that the body is trying to process. We stay longer, so it's important to be comfortable. You do want that meridian to be activated, but you don't want to be in discomfort. The reason that we have the chest lifted in this one, and you can practice flat on the floor, but in this particular practice we lift and open the chest for two reasons. We expand and open the lung capacity so we can more naturally, more easily get a fuller breath. It's a very, very soft stimulation of the nervous system, which means there's a slight energy being given to you. But more importantly, the reason that we want the chest higher than the hips is in that position, the diaphragm, which is just below the sternum, and it's the muscle that regulates your breath. It drops down when you inhale and it moves up when you exhale. And when tense or tired, the diaphragm can become a bit tense itself and locked up, and we can't access the breath properly. We especially can't access the belly breath. But when we put our body in this position with the chest higher, naturally there's a nice stretch and lengthening which causes the diaphragm to naturally drop and open for the inhale. So we're taking the effort out of the breath and we're getting a more full, nourishing breath to replenish us and fill our body with breath, prana, and nurturing energy. The chest is open, opening the heart. The shoulders are open and relaxed. And the head is supported. You're able to completely let go of all thinking, all thoughts, and just simply be. On an energetic level, we are also remaining open to let go and empty out anything that we don't need in our life. Fear, tension, tiredness, stress, people around, energetic people around that we don't need to spend time with. Different circumstances in life that don't suit us or serve us. We're open, we're willing to let it all empty out, let it all release from us. Anything that we don't need, anything holding us back. Self-doubt, low self-worth, we're emptying it all out. We're open, willing to let it go. The flip side of this is that we're also open to receive. And this pose is very open. We're very vulnerable. We're in an open receiving state. Once we've emptied out and let go, we're fresh, anew, ready to receive exactly what we need for our highest and best life. Whether it simply be a more full breath, whether it be prana, energy, whether it be love, whether it be wisdom, abundance, whatever it is that you need to receive, it is there for you. And just by being open and breathing in, you're receiving all of that. The liver meridian is the meridian that's also related to the dosha of Pitta in Ayurveda. And Pitta is the dosha that is most dominated by fire, the fire element. So if there's ever any excess heat in your body, This is a very, very good pose to spend time in, and it's one of the primary poses that we spend time in when we're on our menstrual cycle, during Kali time, and any time at all that you are feeling depleted due to excess stress, heat, illness, overwork, anything that has created some kind of heat or friction or tension in your life. Doing a pitta pacifying posture like this will help to calm all of that down and let you feel nicely balanced and integrated again. If your legs are uncomfortable, feel free to just stretch them out, but keep your chest lifted for a little bit longer. But if you can, just stay with it, just for another minute or so. There's one final energetic aspect that this amazing pose has to bring us, and that is the activation of the Muladhara chakra, the base chakra. And this chakra is to do with life, death, resources, connected to the earth. It grounds us and it gives us a sense of security and faith that we have all the resources we need in our life. It gives us ground to stand on and helps us to feel very, very solid and anchored and nourished. This pose can be practiced for quite a long time, even 20 or 30 minutes if you support yourself well enough. As you can see, Kath is extremely comfortable. She could easily stay there for 20 or 30 minutes. And there are some times in our life when we're just over things, and we're stressed, we're fed up, we're irritated, we're frustrated, and we just want to let go of everything and begin again. And that is when you might stay for that long in Supta Baddha Konasana. Also, as I said, if you have been unwell or if you are on your moon cycle. Just really enjoying, allowing all those beautiful benefits of this pose to really soak in, just really receive into every single cell all of these beautiful benefits. Gently now, we're going to begin to move. So just allow, first of all, your breath to deepen into the belly, into the chest, and let your body respond to the breath. When you feel that your body is responding, you might want to move through the fingers, the toes, you might want to take the arms above the head and stretch. And just taking your time. So no rushing in this practice, just taking time. When you bring your hands down, bring your knees together, you might want to move the blankets out of the way. And then supporting yourself with your hands, rolling out to the right side. And just resting for a breath or so. You might want to put your arm under your head or one of the blankets under your head, just having a little rest for a breath or so. It's kind of like a sorbet, just having that cleansing, that really closing off and receiving and acknowledging what that pose has brought to you and taking it in before we move to the next one. When you feel ready, you can sit up. And the next pose is going to be Upavista Konasana. Now this pose is quite challenging, I'll be honest, but you can have a few different options for this pose. Firstly, I recommend sitting on a blanket. Now Kath may not need to, but I would say most of you do, either half or quarter folded. If you're quite tight in the hamstrings or the legs or the back, have more height, because we're going to meet that height with whatever we put under your head. Your legs are out wide. Upavista is wide angle stretch. So if you can, you have your legs roughly 90 degrees, a little bit more if you can, a little bit less if you can't. And you find a way to fold forward from the sitting bones, rolling to the sitting bones, keeping the heart open. And Kath is going to place her head down on the bolster, but I'm also going to bring the chair forward so that you can see, if you are unable to use the bolster, you could put your head onto the chair, and you can also have as much height on that chair as you need. If you needed more, you can put more there. And you can create as much height as you need to be comfortable in this pose. I'm going to take that away, as Kath doesn't need the chair, but she is going to put enough height there that she can be super comfortable. Again, remembering that comfort and the ability to let go are key to this kind of practice. Upavista is also another pose that works on liver meridian, reproductive and kidney system meridians. And all of these are balancing our body, our organs, to allow us to be in the best health that we can be, and to calm us, to nurture us, to help our hormones, to help our digestive system, to help just our general sense of well-being. But again, one of the primary reasons we do is the effect on the liver and on the pitta element. Because this one's also a forward bend, we add two more elements to it. One is that the heart is below the spine, so it's very rejuvenating and calming for the heart. The heart has to work less. It can just be really relaxed in the way that it works. And the second element is the forehead is pressed into either the bolster or the chair, and this causes an acupressure point that helps to quieten the mind down. And whenever the mind is quiet, not only do we feel better, we feel calmer, but it has a calming and tonifying effect on the nervous system. Forward bends are about surrender, letting go of ambition, and becoming internal, turning inwards, connecting to your deeper internal state, your deeper sense of self, your deeper sense of being, and your deeper guidance as well. Forward bends are also generally very beneficial for tonifying or strengthening the nervous system, but without creating heat. So there are certain conditions where strengthening the nervous system without increasing heat is very beneficial. So any forward bend at all is good for that, especially when you have the head supported, as we have today. You can do a supported practice for any forward bend. Janushisasana, any of the Mrichyasanas, Triangle Mukha Pada Paschimottanasana, any forward bend that you like, Paschimottanasana, any forward bend you can do as a supported option. This means that you have got something underneath your head that is supporting you, that you can relax completely, you can let go completely, and just allow the energy to move through your body. The breath comes in and moves out. But more importantly, it's the energy that's flowing in and out through the pose, through the meridians, that is creating that calming and healing effect. Because this pose and Supta Baddha Konasana work on the Pitta element, it also calms down when you have a busy mind. So when you have a busy mind, excess thinking, you often feel your neck or your forehead can get quite warm. So we know that we have to calm the Pitta, calm the heat. And so even before going to sleep, I sometimes lay in Supta Baddha Konasana, and it helps to anchor me down, ground me, and helps to quieten down that Pitta, that active energy. And you can see that Kath is getting very calm now, very quiet. Her energy is getting quieter and softer, and hopefully you're also feeling at home that you can really feel yourself really connecting to earth energy. Now, if there's discomfort, especially in the neck, this means you don't have enough height under your upper body. So please go and grab another blanket or cushion or the chair and just come up a little bit. You do not want to be in discomfort in this pose. It is strong for the legs, so those of you that need to, hopefully you've allowed your legs to bend. And if it's really strong, you can put a blanket or cushion underneath your knees and give your legs that little bit of nourishment and support as well. So if today is your first restorative practice, part of what you're doing is exploring the practice and figuring out how to be comfortable in it. And this means getting creative with the use of the blankets, the cushions, the chair, whatever it is you have that you can use to take pressure off and let your body be held. You're literally creating a holding for yourself. We often visualize or imagine that we're being held by the mother energy, and this practice is all about creating that mother energy to hold you and nourish you and give you a place to rest and replenish and let go of the world for a little while. So those of you who have done restorative before and are experienced like Kath will feel yourself really sink down into that holding, allowing yourself to be held and nothing active, nothing doing, no doing, just simply being, surrendering, letting go. If you have any questions, those of you who are a little bit newer to this kind of practice, I'll try and answer them after this session. If you write your question in the comment section, I will try and answer them for you. Or if you're watching it on replay, send an email to the Yoga Centre and I'll try and answer if you haven't been able to get comfortable. Anytime during the practice, if you need to come out, just come out and sit quietly as you just spend time feeling the after effect of each pose. You don't have to stay in quite as long as we are doing with Kath. You can come out earlier any time that you need to. Speaking of coming out, we're going to now allow the breath to start to create that wakeful energy to bring us back out again. So breathing deeply, feeling the breath coming in and slowly coming up. Walking your hands back and pressing into the hands to bring your spine. And before you do anything, just pause there. Just take a couple of breaths in that upright position. Just let your back settle. If there's any stretch or any tension there, just let your breath settle, let your breath find its way into your belly and heart again, and just let it move through those legs. Then if you need to, using your hands underneath your knees to bring your legs up and bringing them up, that's it. You might want to keep the bolster where it is, or the chair, whatever it is you're using. And we're going to come into cross legs. So crossing your legs. Now again, we're all a little bit different. So if you have discomfort in the knees, you can roll a blanket, and this is usually we roll in the Supta Baddha Konasana, we rolled it short ways, but as you can see, Kath is rolling it lengthways, and you place it underneath your ankles. You cross your ankles over the top. And this creates a little bit of lift in the ankles and protects the knees. You might also want to be sitting on a blanket or a cushion if you know that you have a little tightness through the hips or the lower back, so that you can fold forward easily and naturally. Now again, we're going to rest our head on a bolster or on a chair. So grabbing the chair if you need it, bolster, building up the bolster with blankets, whatever it is you need to be able to fold forward and relax completely. We won't spend quite as long in this pose. It's got two sides to it, but we will spend at least a minute. When you're doing a restorative practice, you generally tend to spend between 1 to 3 minutes in poses that change sides, and like cross legs or Janu Shirshasana, where you're changing sides, and in the poses like Upavista, Paschimottanasana, where you're moving forward with both legs in the same position, we can spend 3 to 5 minutes in those. You can spend as long as you're comfortable, really. So you're just really always tuning in, remembering that this practice is intuitive. It's about taking you to your internal connection, your inner state of being and your inner guidance. So feeling it, surrendering to it, connecting to it, but also receiving guidance from it, so that if you feel that you need to come out and be upright, do that. If you feel you need to open up your chest and come out and be laying backwards again, do that. So when you're at home doing the practice for yourself, you tune in. Forward bends are calming, but if you do too many of them on the wrong day, you can start to feel a bit heavy and a bit depressed. So then you might feel you need to open up again. So you can go into a gentle back bend or a twist, making sure that you're supported, of course. Cat's going to come up now on an inhale, so always coming up on the inhale and crossing legs the other way. Cross legs are so beautiful because, especially as you get more comfortable with it, you're really going in. It's like that real hibernation, really internalizing. Your forehead is resting, so your mind is calming down, switching off. And you also get a beautiful opening and release of the hips as well in this pose. And hip opening is so important for so much of our daily movement, and it tends to get tight when we are sitting too much. If we're not moving enough, we can get tightness in the hips, and paradoxically we can also, if we're doing too many activities that require strong glute action, like a lot of cycling or strength work, lunging, etc., we can end up with some tightness in the glutes and the hips, and poses like cross legs and pigeon are the perfect way to release some of that tension. And the beautiful part about cross legs and releasing the hips on an energetic level, we're setting free our creative energy. So those of you who are creative in any form, you really want to keep that openness, that capacity to move in any direction, and keeping your hips open is an important part of that. So spending a few minutes each day, each side in cross legs or in pigeon pose is a very wonderful thing to do to keep your hips nice and open. When you're ready, allowing the breath to bring you up and out of the pose. Removing the bolster and the blanket that is under the ankles. The blanket that you're sitting on, I'm going to recommend that you have at least a quarter folded blanket to sit on now as we move into Bharavajasana. And some of you might need 2 quarter folded blankets or a little bit more height. So I have an injury, I tend to use at least 1 quarter folded blanket, sometimes a quarter fold plus a half or a bit more if I need to. Going to have your right foot into the groin, as Kath has there, and your left foot is beside your hip. It's folded back away from you, beside the hip. So I might get Kath just to turn around and face the camera. Thanks, Kath. So that you can see right foot is into the groin and left leg is folded behind you. Then she makes sure that her hips are even. If they are not, then you need more height. And then breathing in and turning hands to belly, hands to kidneys, turning the belly and kidneys towards that front leg, then taking that left backhand to the right knee, and then shoulder roll back with the backhand and placing your fingertips down on the floor where you press away from the floor gently to let the heart lift. Your spine is nice and long. Now that beautiful breath that we were practicing earlier in our practice, you've got full freedom to breathe. You can see that Kath's breathing into that belly, into the kidneys, filling that breath up into the heart. And on the exhale, keeping that lift in the spine, exhale a slight turn through those kidneys. If you're on your cycle, you don't do anything else except feel the breath move around the spine. But everyone else, you can just gently pull on that front hand and get a tiny bit more turn through the waist, through that kidney belly region. Twists are very refreshing for all the abdominal organs, and when our organs are happy, we're happy. Our energy is good, the way we function is good, and we have a nice rotational movement of the spine. So unlike we've done a flexion and a forward fold with the spine, and now we've got a nice rotational movement. So we're really freeing up the spine. And as the old saying goes, you are as young as your spine. So we try to get as much movement in all directions as we can, and we try to keep the space between every vertebrae. Inhale, coming back to the center and changing legs. Lifting up through the spine, turning through that belly region, placing the hand over the front and roll that shoulder back just on the fingertips of that backhand, and you're not leaning on it, you're pushing away from the floor so that you're keeping that lift through the spine. A nice light lengthen the spine with space between the vertebrae. Breathing into belly, breathing into heart, and feeling that space expand in all directions. And on the exhale, feeling that energy move up through the spine, getting longer. You can also close your eyes and you can start to imagine not just your physical body in this pose, but your energy body. And this is where yoga works with not just the physical, but other elements of our being. So imagine that your physical body looked just like you, but was made of light. kind of like a ghost, someone told me once, or a spirit. You could imagine it's your spirit. But as you breathe in, it gets brighter and expands. And as you breathe out, you can feel your energy sitting bones going down into the earth and your energy spine growing and extending to the sky. And the turn through those energy kidneys and your energy heart open. And just feeling how beautiful that feels. And taking an inhale and exhale, coming back to the center and releasing. I'm going to get you to move forward. We're going to do Jatara Paravatasana. So Kat's going to lay back down on her back. And wherever Kath has a support, you can also place a support either at the same height if you're flexible or higher. So Kath's going to put a blanket underneath her thighs. And if at home, if you need more height, you can place a bolster underneath your legs. So the spine is flat, the arms are out, shoulder height. You start by taking the knees to the chest. So I'll just get Kat to do that first. Knees high up to the chest. Then lift those hips a little bit and shift them away as you take the knees down towards your elbow. And then let your legs relax. Let them relax and make sure they feel supported. You want to feel supported. You don't want to feel like you're doing any work or there's anything left hanging. Your opposite shoulder should be able to sink heavily down to the ground. And when she changes side, you'll be able to see the shoulder. So nice and heavy. And coming back to that breath again. Into the belly. Into the heart, filling up the body with the breath, into every single cell, feeling that breath expand into your whole entire body. And on the exhale, navel comes in, breath moves up through crown, out through spine, out through those arms. The bottom half of the body rolls over towards the legs. The upper half of the body, the opposite arm, lengthens away. The head naturally turns away from the legs. And you can feel your body melt in two opposite directions. Breathing into belly, breathing into heart, creating space, breathing out, melting the legs down, and the opposite arm melts away from the body, the head turning away and that arm melting away from the body. So you're getting that turn and you're getting two halves of the body melting in two opposite directions. It is very, very good for spine, organs, kidneys, pitta. Very, very releasing, calming, and replenishing. When you feel ready, bring those knees back as you come back up into the center. Bring the knees back up to the center. Place your blanket or your bolster to the other side. Lift and shift your hips away from the direction that you're going to roll, and then take your knees over to the other side and let them rest. Legs and feet feeling fully supported by the blanket or the bolster as you did on the other side. And now you're able to see her shoulder and feel the energy of that arm. It's almost as if it's melting away from the body and lengthening away. The head naturally turns in the opposite direction of the legs, but you're not trying to turn it, you're just allowing. So in this practice, we're allowing that turn, we're allowing that melting, we're feeling that release. The breath fills the body into the belly, into the heart, breathing in. And on the exhale, feeling that turn through the Jatara, through that belly region, from the belly up, melting along that arm, from the belly down, the hips and the knees roll over in the opposite direction. The two halves, the upper and lower half of the body, melting in two opposite directions around the axis of the spine. And your breath is just soft and even. It moves in, moves out, without really needing to make any effort or think what you're doing. It has its own natural rhythm, like the tides on a beach as the waves roll in and roll out again. That is how soft and natural your breath is. And when you're ready, bringing your knees to your chest again and just taking time to hug them there for a breath or so. And let out a sigh if it feels good. While we're here, we might just do a very gentle stretch for the hip flexors also. So keeping that right knee to the chest, left leg down along the floor, and let that left leg become nice and heavy into the floor. And breathing in, belly, heart, and on the exhale, gently drawing the knee towards that right shoulder, closing off the space on the right side of the abdominal cavity, and you're giving it a little bit of a massage into that abdominal region, the ascending colon. So you're helping digestive system with this pose, as well as releasing tension around the back of the glute and letting there be release in the hip flexor and the one that lifts up your thigh. I've forgotten what it's called. So, the hip flexor, that'll do. And just enjoying that sensation. And breathing in and exhale, bringing the opposite knee back up into the chest and releasing that right leg down. And again, you can see that you're getting that nice length in through the hip flexor, psoas region, and drawing that left leg in. Every exhale a little bit closer, so that you're again closing off the space in the left side of the abdominal cavity. Now you're massaging the descending colon. It's very, very good for digestive system as well. And then bringing both knees to the chest and hugging them there. Now I am going to ask Kath, no, I won't need her to do a second demonstration. I'm going to get her to place both feet down, about hip width apart. We're going to do just a couple of gentle spinal rolls. Now the only reason you wouldn't do this is if you're on your menstrual cycle. If that's the case, please place the blanket, the bolster underneath your chest again, the same way that we did for Supta Baddha Konasana in the first pose, but just let your legs be out straight and enjoy that gentle back bending action. Everybody else, we're going to begin as if somebody has lightly picked up our tailbone and just started to lift it up. And as the tailbone, the end of the tailbone lifts up, the next vertebra lifts up, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one, and the next, and the next, and the next, continuing to gently lift up until you have raised your hips as high as you naturally can, and the vertebrae are lifted up all the way up to as close to the neck as you possibly can. Now just stay there, breathe in. Now you're going to begin to lower down again, one vertebra at a time, just one at a time. Now there's a point around about the lumbar spine where it wants to skip a few. Don't let it. Press the feet into the floor and push them away from you. Curl the pubic bone in towards your navel and go one at a time, one at a time, one at a time down. And then begin two more like that. Lightly curling your spine up, pausing at the top and slowly lowering down again. Now close your eyes and take your mind to your vertebrae. Really be there with them. Come down one vertebra at a time. When you notice that it wants to skip, stop. Curl your pubic bone in, press the feet into the floor,
and away from you, and come down one at a time. It's very important. It's very, very beneficial for realigning the spine and taking tension out of the spine, which is so good for our health in general and gives lots of mobility to spine and space for nervous system. So on this last one, when you come up, you're just going to spend a few breaths there. So coming up, pause there, roll the shoulders underneath. If you can, either grab the sides of your mat, or if you can, interlock your hands underneath you. If you're holding the mat, pull against the mat. If you're interlocking your hands, press the little finger into the floor and breathe there just for 3 to 5 breaths. Into your belly, into your chest. Into your belly, into your chest. Hold, and then send that breath all the way down into those feet and lift those hips a little bit higher. Into the belly, into the chest, really feeling that heart become full. Exhale, send that breath into the feet and lift those hips just that little bit higher. And one more like that. Full breath into belly, then into heart. Exhale, send the breath into the feet, lifting those hips. And then releasing the hands and the shoulders and slowly rolling back down again. And just spending a moment there, just rest and breathe. Just rest and breathe. Even though it's a restorative practice, occasionally we put a tiny bit of stimulation back in just to make sure we haven't gone too heavy or too passive. We want to feel nicely balanced after this. You don't have to do it. You can do a passive back bend, or you can leave it out completely. Bring the knees to the chest and hug them there for a couple of breaths. And if you are lying back on the bolster, just remove that bolster, lay flat, and hug your knees to the chest. Then rolling out to the right side, and we're going to come into a child position on the bolster. The cat's going to grab the bolster, and if you don't have a bolster, again, cushions, from the couch, whatever it is that allows you to rest your upper body. Now, you don't want to pull it back to the groin, just between your knees. So just between your knees, and then allow yourself to fold forward into child position, but turn your head one way and just rest there. And let the bolster or the cushions take the weight of your body as you let yourself completely relax into this beautiful pose. Now, if there's anybody out there that for some reason can't do child pose, you can do this with straight legs, Paschimottanasana, onto the chair, onto bolsters, whatever you need. So you can have both of your legs straight in front. And you can also do it on a chair, onto a table. So if you were to sit on your chair, if you were to sit on your chair, you could have your legs slightly wide, and you could rest your hands onto a table or a stool, and you can rest your forehead down, and you'd be able to get similar benefit. So I do that one with my mum, and it helps her a lot. Just sitting on the chair and resting her elbows and forehead on a table in front of her. Now, changing the head direction anytime that it feels uncomfortable, but we're about halfway now. I'm going to be quiet for the next few breaths because this is such a beautiful and special pose. It's balasana, or child pose, and in the same way that children, when they're tired, they often naturally just drop into this pose. It's so restful. It's connected to Mother Earth. It's calming, it's grounding. It's so nourishing. You really feel like that little child again, being really, really held and nourished. So just allowing yourself to enjoy that for the next few breaths. So when we come up, we're going to do something for our kidney energy now. I am going to ask Kath to demonstrate 2 different poses. And the first one is legs up the wall. Now, legs up the wall is fantastic for replenishing and restoring kidney energy. This is when you've been giving too much of yourself, when you've been giving, spending energy and not putting enough back in, so you haven't been replenishing yourself often enough. Now, when you do legs up the wall, if you have tight hamstrings or back, you may not be able to take your legs up the wall. You may need to use a chair. So I'm going to show the chair people first, and this is going to be the first option. If you are on your cycle, please just wait. I will give you another option as well. So this is if you don't have enough flexibility in your hamstrings or back to enjoy legs up the wall and to have your sacrum completely supported. If you don't have your sacrum completely supported, please don't do those. You need to either lift up your sacrum and put something underneath if you're doing legs up the wall, or you can do this pose on the chair. Now, I don't really want to disturb Kath at the moment, so we can pretend that her legs are up the wall. So she can just stick her legs straight up and we can show you what it looks like. Imagine there's a wall there, so how you get in and out of it, are you able to demonstrate? It's all right, she's going to demonstrate. So you get in close, you roll with your knees to the side and you get your buttocks in as close as you can to the wall, and then you roll your legs up. You really try to have your buttocks in flush up against the wall. Now, as I mentioned, some of you may or may not have the hamstring length for this. Kath loves this pose. She doesn't need anything under her sacrum. But if she did, she would get a blanket or a towel or even a bolster. She would bend her legs, lift up her sacrum, and put whatever she needed underneath her sacrum so that she could get it flat. So you want to feel that flatness and that weight into the floor, that the sacrum is heavy to the floor and spreading. So that nice, heavy, spreading feeling. Now, if you are on your cycle, you won't do this pose, and I'll just do a simpler version today than the one I was going to do, so that I'll demonstrate that. We won't get Kath out of her pose again. I'll get you to get a blanket and roll it into 3 lengthways. So let's come over here. So folding that blanket in 3 and having it along the floor, and a second blanket you're going to quarter fold, so about that height, and that goes up the other end. Now you place yourself so that your sacrum is 1 hand's width away from the edge of the blanket, so not flush but just 1 hand's width away. Then laying back on it, and then adjust the head pillow so that it's just at the edge of your shoulders, and this gives you a nice soft lift through the chest, a soft back bend lift, and a gentle tuck of the chin and the head. So it's another way to get a nice release that is calming and slightly energizing without taking your hips above your navel, which is what we want to avoid if you're on your cycle. But for most of you, you'll be okay with this one. Also on our website, we're going to be posting the whole Kali time practice for you to be able to use, and where the pose that I would do instead of this would be Setu Bandhasana. So when you get those notes, you'll be able to have a look at that. Set yourself up, making a bench with some blankets, and put yourself in that nice calming energy that has a similar effect to shoulder stand. And shoulder stand, legs up the wall, All the inversions share the benefit of bringing energy to you and balancing energy out. The reason that legs up the wall is particularly good for the kidney energy, though, it is completely passive. There is no effort or action whatsoever. Literally, it's almost as if your legs are an antenna and the energy is being drawn to the legs and then drawn down and filling you up, refueling you with energy. It also gives your legs get a nice flush, the blood gets flushed through, it's reverse flow, so the blood gets nice and oxygenated. It's very refreshing and relieving for legs if you've been standing on your legs for a long time. If you happen to be someone that works in a career where you're standing on your legs a lot, this is super beneficial to do at the end of the day for 10, 15 minutes, even up to half an hour. You can spend a long time in this pose as long as you're comfortable. You can see there's no pillow under the head. We don't want to tuck the head up. We want the head neutral. The only reason that you'd put a head pillow is if your chin was lifting up. So that oxygenated blood also goes into the sacral plexus and it nourishes that juncture where there's all those nerve endings in the lower spine. So there's a lot of nerves meeting there and they all get fed and nourished by this beautiful oxygenated blood. The pressure of the legs down into the sacrum and the spreading of the sacrum gives a lot of space and relief. And remembering that pain, especially lower back pain, comes from pressure on the nerves. And the nerve is very fine. So if we can just create a little bit of space there, we can take pressure off that nerve and we can often alleviate pain through regular practice of postures like this or child pose. In the beginning, when you first lay down, you may need to take a few breaths into the belly if this is the only pose that you're doing, just to anchor you in, but then no breath exercise, no reading, no thinking, no stimulating music. You can have relaxing music if you like, no talking on the phone, nothing. This is an absolutely passive pose. This is absolutely about you receiving and being filled up. I always feel that I can feel that energy filling me up. It's almost like if I was to watch a fuel gauge, I could see the level of energy filling up, filling up, filling up, filling up. And when you practice it, you'll be able to feel that too. So today, we're just going to stay here for another couple of minutes. I'm going to not talk for a minute, so that you can just really enjoy and try to feel that feeling of that energy filling you up. If you're doing the spinal roll, you should be very relaxed and happy just to, again, no effort, just relax there, breathing. If there's any discomfort in the lower back, you can place a rolled blanket or bolster underneath your knees or cushions to lift your knees up a bit and take any pressure out of that lower back. I call this the pose of gratitude because we are fully receiving, and we're fully aware of what we're receiving, and it feels so good to be filled up that it immediately makes us feel how grateful we are, how lucky we are, how much we have in our lives. So today, before we finish off this practice, I'm going to let Kath be there just for a little while I explain our next pose, which is we're coming into our final couple of postures. So if you were the sort of person like Kath who loves this pose, you can stay in it right now. You can stay in it and you can let this be your Shavasana. You can just stay resting in it. And eventually, when you feel ready to come out, you'll bring your knees to the chest and you'll roll out to the right side and rest for a few minutes. And Kat's going to do that now because she's going to come out. She's going to sit with me and she's going to set up in normal Shavasana as well. Even though under normal circumstances, she might possibly stay in that pose for at least half an hour. And so you can see knees to chest first, rolling out to the right side and resting before you sit up. So try not to jump up too quickly after doing these long held poses. It's really jarring to the system. So coming up nice and calmly, comfortably. And we're going to sit for a moment just before we go into our Shavasana. So again, getting yourself into a comfortable seated position. You can either sit in cross legs or on a bolster, kneeling on a bolster, or any position that you feel comfortable sitting in. Again, we take time to make sure that your body is steady, the foundation is good, pressing down into sitting bones, lifting through that heart, relaxing those shoulders. And you can rest the hands on the knees or in the lap, wherever is most comfortable. Chin down, eyes closed. And as the belly fills up with breath and softly flows into the heart, lifting you like a wave up and over. The breath then rolls out like a wave softly landing on the sand. Just feeling that wave of breath filling you and softly emptying out. Coming in, going out, until it begins to feel almost as if you are a structure at the bottom of an ocean. No doors, no windows, no ceiling, no roof, just the walls with the waves, the deep sea water moving through, the currents gently moving through, the fish and other sea life floating in, floating out, nothing getting stuck, nothing being held, all free. Free and open, yet grounded and settled. The wave of water, the movement of the water is like your breath just moving in and out. And the fish are like your thoughts, they just come and go. You might come, stay, look around and then go. and just allowing them. You feel completely at peace. Everything is, in this moment, perfect and as it should be, here, now. Grounded, calm, body is relaxed, mind is quiet. It feels as if even time itself has slowed down and come to a stop. And you are simply resting in this moment. Simply being. Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Tada Drashtu Swarupe Vastanam. Now, Atha, now, here in this moment is the experience of yoga. Yoga is the calming and balancing of the opposites so that we can rest in our true nature. We can rest in our true heart. Feeling how beautiful it is to simply rest in this place, connected to your deepest self, your soul, your spirit, your heart, connected to the divine, to nature, whatever it is, whatever word works for you. We take a moment to express our gratitude for this practice. We know when we practice that we are connected to millions of practitioners over thousands of years. We were part of a living tradition, and we take time to acknowledge our teachers, those who practice beside us, those who are to follow. And any person, event or thing that you feel grateful for in this moment, just allow it to come to your mind and heart and feel that gratitude, feel that love. If it feels appropriate, bring your hands into prayer position and bow your head, sending out thanks for these gifts and the wish that all beings may be so blessed. Sarvesham Swastia Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantiya Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. May all beings be happy. May all beings find peace. May all beings be whole. May all beings be blessed. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Lay your hands flat on your chest and breathe that warm, loving energy into your heart, and take that with you as you lay down and relax in Shavasana, making sure that you're very, very comfortable. You can place a bolster underneath your knees and a pillow, a blanket underneath your head. Not too high, not too low, just enough that your head is neutral. Cover yourself with a blanket if you wish to feel warm and comfortable. And place the eye bag on your eyes, or a rolled towel can go on your eyes to help create that restfulness. Once you are completely comfortable with your body, allow yourself to become still. Be aware of the temptation to move, but resist it. Just let yourself sink into that stillness. Feeling your whole entire being relax and dissolve down into the floor. The physical body, the muscles, the bones, the organs, the nerves, the brain, the head, the skin, everything melting and dissolving down onto the ground, down through the ground to that earth energy, like warm, like butter on a warm pan, melting. All tension, all holding. And when you think you've relaxed as much as you possibly can, let go even more, relax even more, until your body completely melts away. And in this heaviness, in this melting, you are aware of feeling completely grounded and connected and safe, yet at the same time you're aware of an expansiveness as your energy body is set free. Once the physical body is completely dissolved, the energy body expands infinitely outwards until it too disappears and dissolves into the ether element. You wonder where the end of this expansiveness and this heaviness end and begin, and you try to follow through. You feel simultaneously heavy, grounded, calm, relaxed, yet spacious and light. You realize there is no end, that the two opposites have become part of one harmonious experience. And this is yoga. Once your mind has let go of that curiosity, it too can relax and let go and become empty, dissolving in the same way that the physical and the energetic have already done. Concepts, thoughts, even your name, your role, what you do, who you are in life, all melting away and dissolving, leaving your mind empty and serene as a clear blue sky. From that point is like a beautiful sigh, letting go even further beyond the body and the mind and dropping into that state of simply being. The Vijnanamaya Kosha, or consciousness body. You feel deeply connected, deeply content, a deep sense of knowing. But no need to be anywhere, do anything. Just being is enough. And giving yourself to that being, you feel how good it feels, and natural joy arises. The Anandamaya Kosha. The essence of who we are, the bliss body. we lay there, enjoying how beautiful it is to simply be in this moment, the joy of simply being, and we allow ourselves to soak it in. I'm going to allow you to stay there for as long as you wish to today. Just taking your time, don't disturb this process, just laying there for as long as your body and being wants to. If thoughts distract you, just let them float away, just like when you were feeling that you're at the bottom of the ocean. Let it bubble up to the surface and disappear, and just stay in this relaxed, deep place. You'll know when it's time to move again. And when it is, your breath will start to naturally deepen, and you'll start to naturally respond to that by moving fingers, toes, hands and feet. Stay in Shavasana for as long as you want, and Kath's going to stay there today. Just remember, at some point before coming back to wakefulness, breathe deeply, integrating all these layers. Start to move the body, bring the knees to the chest. Roll out to the right side, and remember to spend a moment or two there before you come up and begin to put your things away. I hope that you've enjoyed this practice today. Remember that you can send any questions by the comments or by email. Until next time. Namaste.